Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today I got to talk about yet another story that I happen to find to be ridiculous, insane, absurd, but the fact of the matter is, I've come across a lot of the stories that I don't believe lately, and this one revolves around copper theft in Los Angeles that has gotten so bad, so commonplace, has gone unpunished for such a length of time, that neighborhoods are being blacked out because of copper theft. And I also want to address this local news segment because they announce a sting operation at a recycling facility, and I think it's incumbent on me to burst everyone's bubble and point out that this is the exact reason I said that there were dramatic flaws in the packages of bills that Newsom signed recently in order to prevent people from voting on the repeal of Prop 47. Now we're going to get into this, but before we do, thank you to everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
LA police announced arrests in a sting operation that they say will likely bring more arrests in the days to come.
So normally a segment that starts off like this, I would think might be good news. It might be something that I'm interested in because I'm constantly talking about consequences for thieves and how letting them go unpunished for so long is leading to all these different problems across California, but in Los Angeles in particular. So I thought going into this that I was going to be rooting on for this particular bust. However, this bust suffers from the same problems as those packages of bills that were signed by Newsom suffer from, in that they're meant to address so-called organized theft, when in reality what we're dealing with is disorganized theft as the primary driving factor behind the problems in California.
For months, thieves have been making off with precious metals from around the city and leaving some neighborhoods in the dark. Today, police announced a major takedown.
From copper wire to aluminum wiring, police say they've now recovered some of the stolen property.
Now, to give you a little bit of a specific in the law that we're talking about, part of the so-called crackdown will allow district attorneys to combine cases to reach the over $1,000 threshold, so that way they can prosecute thieves who are stealing under $1,000 if they do it enough times to make it over $1,000. Now, while that might sound good, while that might sound like they're addressing repeat offenders with that particular provision, the fact of the matter is that requires a bunch of arrests and a bunch of pending cases, when what you should do is just allow repeat offenders, absent you trying to tape together 14 cases, to be charged as felony thieves. That's the major problem, the major flaw, and the reason for that flaw is because Gavin wants to redirect people to the secondary market, the people buying stolen property, and this bust is a perfect example of why that is inherently flawed.
Another 1,600 pounds of stolen copper recovered in a sting by the LAPD found in recycling centers in the San Fernando Valley. Critical wire to power our communities, knocking out streetlights and leaving neighborhoods in the dark.
And even train controls have been put at risk because of metal theft.
So like I said in the open, copper theft is incredibly serious. Obviously, we hear about the different various neighborhoods that are losing power, not just to their street lamps, but to the actual neighborhood itself. And we end up hearing from the president of the LA City Council, and he says that even train controls were affected by this copper wire theft. And we actually did a story out in the city of Oakland where they stole so much copper wire from this one traffic light so many times that they ended up replacing the traffic light with a stop sign because they just could not afford to keep replacing it. And for those of you who don't understand what's going on in the copper market, if you look at the track of it over the past 5 years, it is up significantly. As of right now, at the time of me recording this video, that is a 60% increase in the price of copper. So obviously, when the price is up, this theft becomes more valuable. And because the price is up, we know for a fact that that means demand is outstripping supply. There are always going to be buyers for copper wire and even illicit copper wire, which again leads us to the fatal problem with these type of sting operations. They're targeting the buyers. This happened at a recycling center, and I'm sure the cops came in and said, "Hey, do you want some stolen copper wire?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, we need precious metals. Price is up. It's in demand. I'm a scrapper." And they're like, "Okay, but this copper wire, is stolen, just so you know. And then the guy's like, listen, I mean, it's Los Angeles. I get that like 90% of the stuff that I would buy in this city is stolen. And then the cop is like, so you're saying you want to buy the stolen wire? And then they end up making the bust, and it makes news, and they're like, we recovered all this copper wire, even though I'm not sure you can just put that wire back in where it was removed from.
Council President Paul Krikorian is fed up at the millions of dollars being spent to make costly repairs that falls on the backs of taxpayers, calling on the district attorney to make copper theft arrests a felony charge.
This is an organized form of crime that's enabled by those metal dealers, metal purchasers, who are enabling these crimes by knowingly purchasing stolen goods.
So right here, the president goes on and states the exact reason for the problem. He's saying this is organized criminality, and those metal dealers are knowingly purchasing this stolen property. Therefore, it's logical to attack the demand side of this particular issue and not the people gaining the supply. But if you notice, when you looked at the B-roll, what's happening is that they're ripping up this wire from the street. The people who are doing this are drug addicts. Many of them are homeless drug addicts, and the fact of the matter is, copper is up 60%. So even if you bust this recycling center or that recycling center, that is not going to make a difference in the fact that demand is up for this product. These thieves are not getting punished when they take this product, and somebody is going to want to buy it off of them, and they're desperate to do so because they're addicted to drugs, because they're enabled by the city of Los Angeles. So they are completely attacking this problem at the wrong end. Again, they emphasize the organized crime, but what you need to focus on is the disorganized criminal, the criminal that's so disorganized that he's quite literally a drug addict.
The LAPD citing these faulty businesses and making arrests. The repairs of the recent crackdown are estimated to cost Los Angelinos $500,000.
I just want you to think about that. They estimate that the repairs from the thefts in and around this area of copper wire and other metals, which they get into later on, are $500,000. Remember what you were told time and time again about not prosecuting petty thieves, that it was actually, from people who never cared about the budget ever, more conservative because you would save a bunch of money. But the thing is, you never know what happens when you put a bad incentive out there and how people are going to respond. Obviously, there are going to be fluctuations in price of different commodities throughout the market, and the laws should probably adjust to that. And the fact of the matter is, Los Angeles is refusing to do so. If copper is up this much, addicts are stealing it this frequently, then you need to prosecute those addicts. You need to reassess your risk calculation, because the fact of the matter is, a couple of prosecutions of these thieves would deter other people from stealing this copper wire, and it would definitely cost you less than $500,000 to do so. But Los Angeles is uncommitted to doing so, so instead, they still have to spend on repairs because they have to fix the damage. All these areas are blacked out, but they're also going out of their way to conduct sting operations to bust up all these different various buyers of this copper wire when you need to target the thieves. You need to actually go after the places where this is occurring, arrest them, the street level people, and get them off the block.
The LAPD announcing a similar bust last month with another 2,000 pounds of stolen copper wire recovered. And it's not just copper, but aluminum cable, backup batteries, and even fire hydrants. In South LA, Golden State Water says they had more than 200 hydrants ripped from the ground, leaving the communities without protection.
And now you have a whole neighborhood.
So you see, they're on surveillance video right there. Now, maybe the car is stolen, so you can't get a plate or something like that. But the fact of the matter is, they're so bold and brazen that they're stealing these hydrants off the street in broad daylight. And you're like, you know what? Let them do that. We're going to bust up every single potential buyer of metal on planet Earth before we address these criminals. Because need I remind you that there is no such rule that says that if you steal something from the city of Los Angeles, that you have to sell that to a scrapyard in the city of Los Angeles, in the state of California. Metal demand is a real thing across the nation, and you're never going to be able to get through all these different various middlemen that can buy it off the attic, load it up in a vehicle, drive it out of state, and sell it to somebody else unless you start targeting the thieves themselves, the initial aggressors, the initial criminals, and you need to charge them with felonies. I mean, if you are stealing hundreds of dollars worth of copper wire, but ripping it out from key infrastructure that costs millions of dollars to repair, then maybe you should consider charging them with a felony, because it is not in the spirit of the law to say if you steal less than $1,000, you're totally fine when you're causing millions of dollars in damage. It's one of the most asinine and ridiculous things that you can possibly imagine, and yet Los Angeles is doubling down on this. Gavin Newsom is doubling down on this. He's still fighting against the repeal of Prop 47 because he considers that part of his legacy, and his legacy is more important to him than you having electricity in his major cities.
A whole neighborhood of houses that are now in danger because we have no access for our fire department.
Now, this woman also makes a great point. When you steal fire hydrants, if there's a fire, which, by the way, wildfires are kind of a problem in California, the fire department can't do anything. They don't have a water source to protect your home. So again, we're talking about increasing the level of damage from what is supposedly a petty theft by an innocent Angel Aladdin that we should let go. That is not being addressed by you going after these random recycling centers. There are enough buyers for copper worldwide that you are never going to be able to prevent them from buying illegitimate stuff, especially if you pass it off to a middleman that looks legitimate. Yet California persists in this action. And by the way, if the fire hydrant thing wasn't bad enough, if blacking out your neighbors in order to make a quick buck wasn't dangerous enough, we also have something that's absolutely horrific and, again, is normal in Los Angeles.
Thieves even adding to the destruction of irreplaceable historical monuments.
Even grave markers, which gives you a sense of the despicable nature of the people who commit these crimes.
Yeah, that's right. These people are looting cemeteries. They're stealing grave markers. They're absolutely disgusting in every possible way. And by the way, there should be no way, shape, or form that grave marker is ruled to cost under $1,000. Anybody who's ever buried a relative and has seen the financial side of it knows that it costs significantly more. But the thing is, even if you're charged with a felony theft, because of certain laws in California, and we talk about this all the time with the snake burglar, that deem those crimes to be non-violent, what ultimately ends up happening to you, even if convicted, is that you end up being sent to jail because you can't be sent to prison. But the county jails are full. They don't have room. And if you have to choose between somebody else who committed a supposedly non-violent but actually violent crime versus a so-called petty thief, what do you think they're going to choose when it comes time to release these people? And that's if they even have a choice. Some of these places are so overfilled, they release all these different newcomers. Remember, we talked about the snake burglar guy, 76 felony convictions, ends up being sent to the county jail, released after a month because they just had no room. When you don't have consequences and you significantly limit those consequences on the individuals committing the theft, that is going to lead to more and more brazen, more and more outrageous instances. And now they're stealing graves. Again, they're blacking out neighborhoods. They're creating fire hazards in a state that has been ravaged by wildfires. And yet Newsom doesn't want to do anything about it. They want to distract you and talk about organized crime and, oh, the buyers of this and online retailers. When the fact of the matter is, these people on the ground, the foot soldiers, are the ones that you need to take down. If you have an incentive to steal something like copper because its value has gone up, you need to create an equal and opposite disincentive to prevent that from happening. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. They're sensible, rational, and reasonable, so they'll never be implemented in California. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. As usual, if you liked the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me with support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the disaster in California. Till next time.